Okay, next what we will see is the single row functions. Okay, now we will see some functions in SQL. Now you very well know the basics of SQL. Okay, next what we are going to see is the types of SQL functions we have. We have single row, we have multiple row functions. Okay, now what is a single row function? It manipulates data items. Okay, so like I said, it's a single row, so it manipulates your data items, the values. It accepts arguments and return one value. Like I said, single row, that means one value at a time. Acts on each row return. Okay, whatever row we are getting, so it acts on each of the rows. Return one result per row. Like I said, for each row return, it will return one result. Can modify data type. You can modify your data type if you want. Can be nested. That means you can put a function inside a function. Okay, that means you can put multiple functions together. Accept arguments, which can be a column or an expression. This means either you can work on a column or you can, have an expression. Like you can just say sum of 20 plus 30, sum of 20 comma 30, so you get 50. Okay, that are SQL functions. Okay, single row functions. Okay, then we'll see what are the type of functions do we have. Okay, so we have character functions, we have number functions, we have date functions, we have conversions, we have general functions, right? So we will see each of them in detail now. First, we will see character functions. Okay, so for character functions, we have the famous case manipulation function. So if you remember, why do we need this case manipulation function? Sometime back, I was saying you that SQL is not case sensitive, but the values inside are case sensitive. Now, when we were doing with the like query, right? Let me just show you the like query once again. Let me just go to my session. Statements only is fine. See how handy this is coming for me. So that's why I told you that you can always, use this. Okay. So when I had this query, right? Let me just copy this query. So when I ran this query, what happened is it was giving me all the last names where I had A in them. Okay. Now the issue with this is it was not giving me those names which had capital A. Right. Now I want those as well because anyways those are having A in them, right? So ideally I should be getting those. But I don't know which will be capital or which will be small. So what I can do is I can either do upper of last name like A. So when I did this, I get all the last name, whether it had a capital A or a small a. So what this did is, it actually changed able, okay, for example, if I'm taking able to completely capital. So now when it was comparing A, B, E, L, everything was capital. And because I am checking with a capital A, so it matched. Same way for bear. For bear, it was BAER. But before matching, every letter was changed to capital and then this was matched. And that's why this capital A got matched. And why was this changed? Because we put a function over it, upper of last name. Okay. Now, same thing. We could also have done lower. Now, for comparing with lower, it's necessary we put a lower A here. Okay. Again, we get the same data. So 53 rows selected. Okay. So this is how, you can use your functions, okay, to have a better grip on your data. Let me show you how uppercase, lowercase, and any cap works if you actually select the data. how it looks like. Upper, lower of again last name, init cap of last name. So see, for upper of last name, everything was changed to upper, like I told you, right? And then it was compared to upper capital A. So we got a match. Same for lower. We already changed it to lower and then we put a lower of last name. So each and every letter is changed to lower and then it is compared. Now, init cap is nothing but where the first letter of the word will be capitalized. Okay, so right now it is capitalized, the first letter of the word is capitalized anyways, but if you have multiple words, do we have something here which has multiple words? Huh. Even though like this administration assistant, right? So here A and A is capital. If this wouldn't have been capital, then and if you pass this through init cap, then the first letter of each word will be capitalized. That is what init cap is. Okay. Next we see okay. So I just showed you how case manipulation function works. Okay, next what we have are character manipulation functions. Okay, so again these are also very simple. I told you when you were doing the concat with the double bars, right, that we can have a function which is called concat and we can use double bars also for concat. The limitation for this concat is we can only put two words in it. We can't have more than two words for concat, whereas for double bars we can use as many literals or strings we want for concatenation. Okay, so concat is nothing but it joins values together. Substring, now substring, what it does is extracts a string of determined length. Okay, extracts a string of determined length. So what we had here is hello world. Okay, that was my string. So in substring there are three things which will go in. First is the string, then from which location it will start. One, that means it's the first location, and how many letters we want. So from one we want we want five letters. So HELLO, these are the five letters. So we get hello. So 1 5. So it starts from one and we want the five letters HELLO, hello. So it is nothing but it extracts a string of determined length. Next we have length. Okay, length is nothing but it will give you the length of the string you put. So hello world is 10 letters word, so it gives 10. If you had a space here it would have been 11. Okay, so it is basically all the characters you have, whether it's a space or whether it's a letter. Okay, so it shows the length of a string as a numeric value, right? Then we have INSTR, which is nothing but in string. Okay, what will this do? This will get the position, the numeric position of the string you say. Now, if you say W, then it is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. This is the sixth position, right? Hence, we get sixth back here. So it will always give you the first occurrence of your character which you are providing. So if W has occurred multiple times, it would give only 6. Now, for example, if you have hello world here, right, which is O. Now O occurs twice, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will return you fifth and not 7, because 7 again O is coming, but it is the second time. So it will only return you for the first time. Finds numeric position of a name character. LPAD. Now what LPAD and RPAD does is it pads or it fills the empty position. Okay. Now for example, you have salary. Now some people earns in 5 letters, some people 5 figures, some people earns in 6 figures. Now if someone is earning in 5 figures, I don't want to show that there's a blank space there. Instead of that, I just want to cover up with a star. Okay, and whenever we have 6 it is fine, but whenever we have 5 or 4, I want to cover up. For here salary is in 10, So whenever we have 10, it is fine. 10 letters, it's fine. But whenever we have a blank space, if it is not 10, then we will have some blank spaces here. Then those will be padded with star. So pads the character value right justified, pads the character value left justified, L pattern, R pattern. Next, what we have is trim, which is H from hello world. So what trim will do is it will remove the letter H from hello world. Okay. Trim will remove the letter H from hello world and it will only give the rest of it. Okay. You can have multiple letters here. So not only H, you can have hello from hello world. So you will only get world. So it trims heading or trailing characters. Okay. So it should be the heading or trailing characters again. Okay. So these are the character manipulation functions. Okay, so now that we have gone through the functions, we will quickly go through how this will be implemented. Let's check on few of the queries, right? So let's see. Select employee ID. So we will use concat function here, which we learned. We can also use the pipe operator. Then we will use the length operator, where we will get the length of the last name. Till we get the result, just think what did we decide, what did we discuss on in string? What does this gives? Just have a think on that. Okay, so let's go and let's run this. Okay, there's some issue with my session. I need to re-log in just the way we had it earlier. Quickly sign out. So see, we have employee IDs, we have the name. Now because you have concatenated first name and last name, there is no space in middle, right? So both the name are together. If it was better if we could have, put a space in concat, okay? But this will give me an error. Why? Because concat, like I said, can only have 2 arguments. So space we can't put. We have to use double quotes for this. Then we have job ID. Then with the length of the last name. So what is the length of the last name? Which is 4. So King 4. Okay. So Kochar is 7. Okay. Then we have in string, which is okay. So what is A now? What is in string? Like we discussed, in string is nothing but when we want to see if the element is present, and if yes, then at which position. Okay, we want to see at which position the element or whatever we are saying that is present, right? So that is in string. So this is how we can check for the elements. Let's quickly go into this. Okay, this is the same thing. You can try many other functions. So okay, substring. So let's try quickly substring job of ID. This is something important, and this sometimes like we do get. There it was used as a where clause. It's a filter, but we will use as a column. So we get AD and underscore. So generally, if you have seen the job IDs here, we have the first 3 as AD and underscore. Then we have we have the ID. So what I have done is I have just taken out the first tree and I am only taking from the fourth position, right? So this is where substring comes from. Substring is used. We only pick out what we want to do. Moving on to the next part. Okay, next what we have is number functions. So what are number functions? When we want to round or truncate or do some other functions with our numbers, okay, then we use number functions. Now round and truncate, they actually does the similar thing. The only difference is for round it will round off data. For example, because 45.926, if I am rounding off it to 2, and because the third number is more than 5, so 2 increases to 3, right? That is how round works. But truncate is just cutting off the last number. Even if it is 6, it doesn't matter. It will just cut off and it will give you the original values only. Okay. Next, what we have is mod. Now, what is mod? Mod is nothing but modulus. Okay. What does modulus mean? When we divide, okay, we get a quotient and remainder, right? So modulus will return the remainder of your division. So 1600 by 3. So 300 into 5 is 1500 and the balance is 100. So that balance is written by mod function. Okay. Okay. Let's see what is a dual table is. Okay. Select sysdate from dual. Okay, first let me show you what this dual table contains. So dual table is nothing but a dummy table which has no value. It has a dummy value which is x, and you can try out many functions in this dual table. For example, you want to try out a function but you don't have a proper data for that. So you can hard code the data in a function and you can run it using a dual table. This is a very good feature in SQL, which or specifically to be said in Oracle SQL, which many other database lacks. So this is a very good thing. You can try out the functions using the dual table. Okay, so right now what we will do is we will try out the round function. Okay, so let's try round, because we don't have proper data on which we can try round, so we are using the dual table. So 40, so 100.987, okay, comma 2. For same data, we will use trunk, okay, and mod is easy. Mod is nothing. 1000 divided by 3, okay. Okay, so round of this is 100.99. So 7 increased 8's value to 9. Here 987, because it's a truncate, so the 7 gets removed. Okay, and then mod. So 1000 divided by 3 is 999. The balance is 1. So that is what we are getting here. So mod is like very useful when we want to check if the value is even or odd, right? So that is when we can use mod. Okay, moving ahead. Conversion functions. Okay, now we have data types. Okay, so we have quite a few kinds of data types in SQL. We have number, we have varchar, we have date, right? We have binary. So we have quite a few kinds of data type. But in basic, we have number, date, and character. These are the main 3 types of data that we have. You have many others, definitely. You have JSON, you have binary data, right? And you have many things else, okay? But these are the basic 3 types of data types we have. Now, sometimes what happens is, let me show you the data so you will gauge what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I have my employee ID, right? Now, employee ID is nothing but the ID of the employee. Now, and this is a kind of a ID, right? So if we say 130, so we'll know that, okay, it's for Atkinson. If we say 132, it will know, okay, it's for Olson, right? Now, can we do any mathematical calculations with this? No, right? Like we can do, but logically it is incorrect because employee ID you shouldn't be doing with any identifier, any column which is identifier, you should not be doing any mathematical calculations, right? That is wrong. So to avoid that, what we can do is, because this has numbers, the employee IDs are in number form. So by nature, this will be a numerical column. But what we can do is, while creating itself, while the table is being created, what we can already do is we can put this data in a string format, okay, like a varchar. So what happens is then we won't be able to do any manipulations with it. Okay, now just imagine we have this column called commission percent, and some people get commission, some people doesn't get commission. Okay, now this, when it was created as a string or a varchar that we just need to store the commission. Okay, and a varchar column can store number, right? A varchar column can store number, it can store dates, but a number column can't store a varchar, it can only store number, right? That is a point, that is a logic here. Now, because this was stored in string, okay, now if you want to do some calculations with this number, the commission percent, like if you want to multiply the salary with the percentage, what we need to do is we need to first change it into numerical format, so that both my column, because salary is already in numerical format and a commission percent which was earlier in string, now we should convert it into integer and then we should multiply, right? If we need a function to explicitly change this value to number, that is called an explicit conversion. Okay, but even though this column is stored in a string format, but for multiplying I don't need to explicitly put it into a function to change it to a numerical column, then that is called an implicit conversion. Okay, the conversion of a column from one data type to another data type is called typecasting. Okay, the conversion of a data or a column from one type to another type is called typecasting. Okay, now see this diagram. So now you know that we have 2 types, implicit and explicit. Okay, now if something is in the character data type, okay, and we want to change it to number, okay, or to date, okay, we can do that, but then that is an explicit typecasting. But when, if I want to change from number to character and to date, or a date to a character, which is very easy, this is called implicit typecasting. Okay, so when you want to change anything to a character, number or date, you can call it to char. Obviously you don't want to change a number to a date, that cannot be possible, so hence it's not shown. Now, if you want the character to be transformed to a number, then you need to use the function toNumber. And if you want to change it to a date, you need to use the function toDate. Okay, so these are the basic functions that we have for conversions. Okay, now moving ahead. Let me show you some examples actually. Select last name to care my date, comma F A T M O N T H Y. Okay. Okay. So what we saw is we just converted a date to a particular format. So if you see, it was in this format, right? 17 June 03. This is the format which I told you earlier, right? This is a default date format, DD, Now what I did is I changed it to a format of 17 June 2003. Okay. So how did how did I do this? I changed it to a character variable. Okay, to char. The first argument is the column. Okay, and the second argument is the format. Okay, so this is nothing but how we write a format. We start it with FM. Okay, we started with FM and then we write DD. So DD comes directly here. So this DD and this DD is same. Then instead of a hyphen, we have a space here. Then we have month. So instead of MON, we are having month, complete month. Hence we have the complete month here. And then 03, which is 2003, which is a year. It's nothing but the hire date from employees. Okay, this is how we can change the dates. Next, I'll show you another function, not another function, but how we can format number. Right now we formatted a date, right? Let me show you how do we format a number. Salary, and then we put it in dollar 99, 999. Okay, this is the original salary which we had in our column as data. Okay, and this is the salary which we are showing. What are we showing? We are formatting it. So we want dollar sign to come in the beginning. Okay, then we want the first two letters. Okay, or from the right hand side, the fourth and the fifth letter should be here. After that, we should have a comma, and rest all should come after it. And also we should have a decimal place, even though if it's zero, but we still should have a decimal place. Okay, so this is how we can modify a number also. Okay, So we'll move ahead now. Nesting of functions. Okay. So just now we learned how single row functions work, and now we will see how we can nest the functions. Nesting of functions means a function which can insert another function. Okay, now how does that happen? So let me show this to you. We have, before going into nesting of functions, we have something called as NVL. Let me show that to you, and then it will be much clearer. Okay. We have functions for null. Okay. Some functions which we can use for null, which is NVL, NVL2, null if coalesce. Remember, these functions differ from language to language. So MySQL and Oracle and TSQL, they have slightly different functions for this. So whenever you are working with a new database, just Google out, okay, the function. Okay, just Google the function, that what is the corresponding function for NVL in MySQL. Okay, I always suggest my students to Google out things, because Googling out is very important. This is a very important skill everyone must possess to be successful, for sure. So do that. Okay, let's go to the functions now one by one. The first function is NVL, and NVL can take two arguments. What it does? So first is NVL. So it will convert a null value to an actual value. Now, what it will do is it will first see expression 1. Okay. If expression 1 is not null, okay. So what it will do is, if expression 1 is not null, then it will give that. Otherwise, it will give the second expression, expression 2. Understood? So if expression 1 is not null, it will print expression 1, or it will print expression 2. Now, next we have NVL2, which will say if expression 1, so it will take three inputs or three arguments. So expression 1 will be checked. If expression 1 is not null, then expression 2 is returned or printed. But if expression 1 is null, then expression 3 is printed. So it is like a check. NVL2 is like a check. If this is null, then this is printed. If this is not null, sorry, if this is not null, then this is printed. If it's null, then this is printed. Okay. Then we have null if. Okay. Now what is null if? We have two expressions here also. So it compares the two expressions and returns the null if they're equal. Sorry. Yeah. So it will check the two expressions. If they are equal, it will return null. If they are not equal, it will return the expression 1, the first expression. Okay. And then we have coalesce. Coalesce can have n number of inputs: expression 1, expression 2, expression 3, expression 4, any number of expressions. Okay. So it will return the first not null expression in the list. Now, if we are putting three expressions, expression 1, 2, and 3. Now, if 1 is not null, it will return expression 1 and it will come out of the function. But if expression 1 is null, it will check if expression 2 is null or not. If expression 2 is also null, it will check for expression 3. So like this, it will keep on checking until it meets the first not null value, and that will be returned. Okay, that is what coalesce is. Okay, so NVL converts a null to an actual value. Data types can be used are date, character, number. So date, character, number types of data only can be used for this. Okay. Data types must match. Okay. So data types must match, because you should give the similar data type here. You can't give a date and a character, or a number or a character. Okay. You should give the similar data type. Okay. So what we are doing is select. So this is one example. Let's directly try it out and we'll see. select last name, salary, NVL of commission percent, commission percent, comma 0. Okay, then salary. Okay, let's put it in a bracket. Salary into 12 plus salary into 12 into NVL of commission percentage, comma 0. Okay, and then we close the bracket. Okay, let's try it. So, and let's see what happens. Okay, so what we see here is we have last name, we have the salary. Next, what we are taking is NVL. Okay, so what does NVL means here? We have commission percent. Okay, if this commission percent is null, replace it with 0. Okay, if the commission percent is null, replace it with 0. And next, what we are doing is we are taking the 12-month salary and we are calculating the commission that person will get. Okay, so if you see, even though someone has a null, we are still getting the salary. Okay, now just quickly let's try this out without using NVL here. Okay, so just multiply 12 into commission. And what would have happened if that was the case? Okay, answer. Okay, so see what happens is for all of them where we didn't have a commission, right? We are not getting the annual salary. See, if someone is not getting a commission percentage, that person will still get the salary at least, right? The commission part he is not getting, but salary he should get. But somehow for this calculation, even though this and this is almost same, we are still not getting the annual salary. The reason is whenever you are doing any arithmetic calculation with a null value, your result will always be null. Okay, whenever you are doing any calculation with the null value, the result will always be null. Hence, if you see here, what we are doing here is salary into 12. We are adding this to salary into 12 into commission percent. Now, for all those where the commission percentage is null, we are not doing nothing but we are multiplying salary and 12 with a null. So we are getting null here in return. And this null added to this value is also null. And hence we are getting a null value. This is the reason why we need to use NVL to suppress the null with a 0. And so even if there is no commission, right? So this part will eventually result to 0, and salary into 12 plus 0 is nothing but salary into 12, right? 0 plus any number is the number itself. Hence, this is important. And using NVL is important. Okay. Next, what we will see is how to use a NVL2. Okay. So let's select this. Select last name, salary, commission percent. Okay, fine. Till here it is fine. Next, NVL2. Commission percent. Okay. Sal plus com plus sal. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are checking if the commission percentage is null. Okay, then we only get the sal. So basically, if it is not null, salary plus commission is what the person will get. But if commission percentage is null, the person will only get a salary, right? So now if you see, for the person where we have a commission percentage, if you see this, there we have sal plus com, which is salary plus commission. But for the ones where we don't have any commission, there we only have salary. Okay, I hope this part is clear. Moving into null if. No, null if was used when we wanted to check if both the arguments we are giving is same. If both of them are same, then we get null. If both of them are not same, then we get the first expression, whatever we are putting as the first argument. Let's try this out. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are first taking the first name and last name, which is normal select. Then we are taking the length of each of the column values. So here ln, so it is 5. Here it is Abel, so it is 4. Here it is Sundar, so it is 6. Then and so it is 4, right? So we are taking the length of the first and last image. Now for the columns where it doesn't match, we will be getting the length of the first name, because that is what we've put as the first expression. Our first expression is the first name, the length of the first name to be more specific. Now you see for John Chen, right? We have 4 and 4. Okay. So both first name and last name, the lengths are same, and hence we get a null value here. Why? That is what null if is, right? We get a null value if both the arguments we have put in the null is same. Okay. If both of them are same, then we get a null value. Otherwise, we get the first value. Okay. I hope this is clear. Moving ahead. Next, we will see some conditional expressions. Okay. With the code. Okay. We didn't do the coalesce function. Okay. So let's do the coalesce function first, and then we'll move ahead. Okay. So like I described already, coalesce function. We'll see how we can implement it. Coalesce. Okay. So commission percent, comma, salary, comma, 10. Okay. So what this will do is this will give me the first null, first not null value. So if you see for king, let me just even, take these as well. So you will understand. Salary. So see, in our core list, the order is first order is commission, percent, and then it is salary. And then it is 10. So if you see for all these where we have commission percentage is null, so after it identifies a null or encounters a null in the first position, it goes to salary. And as we have seen on data, right, salary is generally, it's a not null column. So we are getting the value here, not the not null value, right? That's what we are getting here. Now, if we go down where we have the commission percentage, right? There, commission percentage is actually being written for coalesce. Okay. So whichever is the first not null value for that particular row we get, we return that using coalesce. Now, in this condition, in the query which I have written, there will be no such scope to get 10 because we have seen the data. Every row has a salary. It's not that there is a row which doesn't have a salary, right? Every row has a salary. Okay, so so we won't get a 10, but it's always good to have a default value at the end so that in case everything goes to null, then there is some value to hold. Either if you can put 0 as well. Okay, so it looks good. Next, now let's move to conditional expression. Okay, now what is a conditional expression? We generally, if we know some other programming languages, we generally have if then else logic, right? Even if we don't know, it's fine. We will see how the conditional expression works. So basically, conditional expression is nothing but you will perform certain action only if a certain condition is met. What is a conditional expression? You will perform certain action only if a certain condition is met. For example, for example, it is a rainy season which is going on. Okay, but I have to go to school tomorrow. Now, if I would have been a child, I would have thought it should rain heavy, right? And then I don't have to go to school tomorrow, right? Now, this is a condition which I am thinking that if it rains, I will not go to school. But if it doesn't, then I have to go to school, right? That is what conditional expression is. If the condition is satisfied, then we perform certain task. If it is not satisfied, we perform some other set of task. That is what conditional expression is. Okay, we have two types of conditional expressions in SQL. One is case and one is a decode. Okay, now we will see in detail what each of them indicates. Let's write a query for this. Select last name, job ID. Okay, salary, case, job ID, when, IT, prog, then 1.10 into salary, when S clerk, then 1.15 into salary, when SA rep, then 1.20 into salary. Okay. Else salary and as revised salary. Okay. Okay, where did I put double Y? Okay, here. First. Okay. So what I did just now is I am going in a loop for each of the row. So I go to the first row, I check the job ID. So that's what I'm writing. Case is job ID. If this matches to IT program, sorry, this should be IT program. Okay, if this matches to IT program, then I should multiply salary with 1.1. Okay, if this is ST clerk, I should increase by 1.15. It is SA rep, then 1.2. If not, if any of the match doesn't happen, then just put the salary and then end as the revised salary. So basically, only for the 3 job IDs, my salary is getting revised. Okay, only for these 3 job IDs. Okay, so you see here, for ad press, it doesn't come, so we are just getting the equal salary. Same for ad VP and same. Okay. Now IT proc. Okay. Now see IT proc we are increasing it by 1.1. So 9,000 and the reverse salary is 9,900. For all the IT proc is increased. Okay. Then what do we have? We have ST clerk and SA rep. So let's see. ST clerk. See for this. For 3200, it's 3680 now because it's revised with 1.15% of the salary. Okay, so this is how we can use case. So basically we have the column on which we want to put the case, and then we put the values for it. So when either of the values we put here matches to the job ID of that row, then we perform the action we want to do. If nothing matches, then we can have the else statement. Okay, then we have the end statement ending it, and we can put a column name as or the alias of the column. Okay, so this is how you can write a case statement. Okay, so this is another way you can write your case statement where you equate in each of the when statement. Now, if you have a single variable on which you want to match and you have a very simple case statement, you should go for the first approach which I showed you. But sometimes, and generally this happens when you're actually working, right? You will have multiple such things to match for a particular row. When you have such cases, you need to write the matching condition for each when in that line itself. So then you need to use this approach where you write the matching condition in each particular line. Remember, else is optional, so else is not needed. If you want, you can skip else as well. Okay, so these are the 2 ways in which you can write the key statement. Okay, next what we will see is the decode function. Okay, now decode function is also kind of case statement. Let me show this to you, then you will understand where it differs. Mainly, if I tell you, decode statement is very much like the first approach of case statement where we had case job ID when IT program then 1.1 into salary, right? So that is the approach which is exactly similar to a decode statement. Let me write the program, then I'll explain to you. Okay. Okay, I couldn't see the bracket which I had put. Okay, so what we see here is job ID we write once. So this is the column on which we need to do our matching. Okay, so or the comparison. So what we are saying is in his job ID, if it is IT program, then it's 1.1 under salary. If ST clerk, then 1.15. If SA rep, then 1.20. All this put salary, right? Now, this is very similar to the first approach of case statement where we only had to match with one value. So if it is one value, obviously instead of going for a case statement, definitely you should go for decode. But if it is not the case, on that case, and we have multiple matchings to make or multiple comparisons to make, then this is then you can't use decode or the first way of doing. You have to use the second way how I showed you, where we have to do the comparison in each of the when lines. Okay,